Good, good, good. Aloha from Hawaii, from Kauai Tibetan Buddhist Dharma Center on the island of Kauai. I'm Lama Tashi. We do this class every week, 6 to 8 o'clock, and then we Zoom it out to everybody. Tonight we're going to do meditation practices on what is called consciousness transference in Tibet. In Tibetan, that is called Powa. And it simply means that we set up tendencies in our practice so that at the moment of leaving the body, we enter into the infinite aspects of spatial awareness, which are timeless. But we do that in our practice when we practice deity yoga. We end the practices with what's called the accomplishment stage of the practice. So that accomplishment stage is the natural mind of awareness, which is without drama and without judgment. And that has infinite potential. So after leaving this form, this body, and moving into the next life, then one has that at their disposal, that possibility of using the mind to set up auspicious circumstances in that state of being for others. And this is where the compassion, power, and insight of these practices is actually the most useful. During this life, of course, it's useful so that we can have long, healthy lives and be happy. And in the process, benefit others and alleviate suffering, and in some cases, even help people to understand and realize their true nature. So that's all the Tibetan practice is about that. And shamanistic Lamaism is based on devotion to the teacher, and that devotion is a starting point for devotion to all sentient beings. So devotion is actually the foot of meditation. The head of meditation is the clear light understanding of the natural mind in relation to how we are in our present situation with the drama mind. And then those two together, the heart of meditation is the actual practices of this oral transmission, which we spread to limitless sentient beings, animals, humans, and spirits. And particularly in this age, is very much needed on this planet for humans. That said, we're going to start with the altruistic motivation, which is unique in Tibetan Buddhism practice, and then we'll do the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. Then, following that, we'll do 3 lights meditation, one of the 5 elements, and then we're going to do the Chenrezig practice, which is how we do the Powa, set up the Powa, conscious transference. And then towards the end of class, we'll do Manjushri practice. So we start with the altruistic motivation. I'll chant it, and then we'll read it in English and then in Tibetan. Dadang Jowa Namge Dadang Yampe Chen Tamche Dudine Junte Chusi Jengchu Lingpo Lachi Bardu. Then we say that in English. In order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limited sentient beings, our mothers, we now all together take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge to all glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the idioms, the deities gathered in our mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. And we go for refuge to all the doctors of Dharma, who are the protectors and defenders of Dharma. All of these possessing the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this supreme assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit, gain from practicing the six perfections, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all day, Lama, Dampo, Nama, Chaksu, Shiyo. Yedam Chokor Vilato Nama Chaksu Shiyo. Sanjay Chom Dende Nama Chaksu Shiyo. Dambe Chur Nama Chaksu Shiyo. Valve Gendum Nama Chaksu Shiyo. Valo Gando Chokyo. Shome Shoye Sheki Chendam Denpan Namam Satsu Chiyo Sanjay Shodam Choki Sonam Mahatenchu Bardu Dati Chaksu Chi Yagi Chenso Jipe Sonam So Sanjay Sanjay and the altruistic motivation, we'll read this in English at the top of the page. In order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limited sentient beings, our mother, we all now all together take refuge and offer prostration. Now that simply means that when we do the six refuges of the three-jewel Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, with the three roots of Tantra, the Lama, deities, and protectors, we do the practices with all sentient beings in mind doing the practice with them. Whatever we practice, we do. And so when we do prostrations, we actually visualize all sentient beings, animals, humans, and spirits, as part of the prostration practice, and actually the purpose of all of these practices. So it's an outgoing motivation which takes you away from the incoming drama that supports the I, me, mine set or condition. And these sentient beings, we think of all of them as being our mother. Not in the sense of actually this life, but we think many previous lifetimes that each and every one of these was our mother and will be again in future lifetimes. Because time doesn't have beginning, middle, or end. So our natural mind is like that, timely. And the awareness shift that we are motivated to practice and accomplish is just that. And what is the accomplishment? It's easy to understand if you think this universe is perfect, just as it is. And when I say that, I mean it arises in a natural state to support life forms. And these life forms we can see on this planet, all the billions of humans, the infinite number of animals, and countless spirits that inhabited just this area, just this planet. And here we look out and we see infinite numbers of galaxies and planets throughout boundless space. That's a lot of sentient beings. But if we think of them as all part of our support, and more importantly, interconnected to us in a heartfelt way, just like a mother for her only child, then that is the whole theme of the Tibetan Buddhist Dharma tradition. And this has been going on for 26,000 years at least, and passed down teacher to student to the present day to us. So that's all part of our support. We call that the lineage transmission. And then in our age, yes, there are lots of texts. For instance, we have 100 sutras we call the Tanjir, and 100 tantras we call the Kanjur. But these texts are orally transmitted by each and every Lama, man or woman in the Tibetan tradition to the student. And this oral transmission varies with the ability to communicate and with the development of the teacher. So, yes, we're all basically the same with the 5 senses and the 5 emotions. And basically how we operate with the drama world. But how are we different? We're different in the tendencies that we've carried forward from past lifetimes to this lifetime. And the tendencies we develop this lifetime will carry forward to future lifetimes. That's called the karmic tradition. But once you're free of the drama mind, then that karmic tradition loses its hold. Then you're what you call a free agent. And that's what we call enlightenment. And that's when infinite possibilities become available for you to set up auspicious circumstances for others, alleviate their pain and suffering, or help to alleviate their pain and suffering, and bring them to maturity, which we call Buddhahood. That's it. That's each and everyone's personal evolutionary process. Believe, not believe. So tonight we're going to start with the 3 lights meditation practice. And once we learn to settle with that practice, then we're going to do one of the 5 elements practices, which teaches us that the nature of space pervades everything, whether it comes from inside or as we see it outside. And then we'll proceed with the rest of the technique. So we sit with the back straight in the 5 position, hands comfortably placed on the knees or in the lap, back straight, mouth closed, eyes, soft gaze to the space 2 feet in front, head slightly tilted forward. Then you just simply bring your focus, your awareness to your breath. And just with your diaphragm, when you inhale and exhale, start to relax, start to settle. Then we evolved from this basic prana yoga method, following the breath, and move into what is called the three lights prana yoga practice, which uses the imagination in following the breath by inhaling the air element and all the elements, and visualizing this filling your lungs with white light. Then the energy breath is the middle breath, and this we visualize a flash of red energy light through the entire body, through every cell. Then the exhale is visualized as blue light pervading space. It's called the healing breath, for all beings inhabiting space. Inhale white light, fill the lung. The energy breath of red light, fill the body. The exhale of blue light to space, fills space. Then, once you feel you have settled and detached from the worldly activities of the day, then take your focus off the breath and bring the three lights into your heart chakra. And that energy visualize as a white or a very tiny particle of light, which is a metaphor for connecting to the radiation or light of the fabric of boundless space. So we rest or contemplate without actually meditating for a few moments on boundless space and light, the energy of our universe, our mind. Then with this as the basis or foundation of the five elements healing practice, we again invent the particle with our imagination centered in our heart chakra. We imagine it to grow in size so it creates a small sphere of clear light. Tonight we're going to expand that sphere because we're entering into the solstice of winter, using a metaphor for the five elements, the symbol of a red pyramid symbolizing fire. And you imagine this pyramid, four sides and a base, in the center of your heart chakra, blazing with light, the energy of the elements, earth, water, fire, and air all accompany this element. Then move it outside and visualize it moves out in front of your chest and up before your eyes where you started your meditation practice, 2 feet in front. Then you apply it to your physical form by imagining it to grow to a size large enough you can see your body sitting inside. Like a large red tent of light. And since this is a healing practice, the psychic energy healing penetrating every cell in your body. Of the elements, all 5 elements, but specifically the warmth of radiation of fire. Then you share it with the surrounding universe by imagining it to grow in size to completely enclose your island or town or area where you live. And you think this with heartfelt intention that the same healing energy that you are enjoying, they, all the beings in that area, receive. Holding your focus and imagination together, expanded in size to completely enclose Mother Earth, including her atmosphere. And expanded in size with your imagination to completely enclose our solar system, planets and sun inside. Then expanded in size to completely enclose our spiral dish-shaped galaxy. Then move beyond the boundaries of your conceptual mind and expand it to the boundless space and everything that appears throughout boundless space and every being that inhabits space. No meditation, contemplate the healing energy pervading space. And the infinite mothers of sentient beings that inhabit our universe. At this point, all of your elements are in harmony with the elements, the universal elements of our world. Then return with your conceptual mind, keeping focus and imagination together. Recreate the symbol of the red pyramid to enclose the galaxy. Then reduce it in size to just enclose our solar system. And confine it more to just enclosing Mother Earth. And smaller to the island or area where you live. Then bring it to just enclosing your body. And all the energy that you've been focusing on, imagine, concentrated into your form. We are universal children. Then again, return it to its original small size, place 2 feet in front of your eye. Bring it to chest level and into your heart chakra. Your heart mind. Imagine it to shrink in stages or all at once to a tiny sphere of clear light. Then again enter to the dimension of light throughout space by visualizing just the particle centered in your heart, similar to an atom. Again, you're beyond concept, so relax and enjoy the infinite capacity and light of boundless space. To finish your session, bring your developing awareness to in front of your eyes, expanded into your area of practice. And then in Tibetan Buddhism, whatever practices we do, we dedicate the merit to the virtue of the practice, the development of this mind training to all sentient beings. We do that with every practice. So this symbol, four-sided pyramid at the base, radiation, is all five elements in one, but for healing purposes, we can use any one of the five element symbols to affect what we call the healing modalities, remedy. And this practice is very similar to other practices that use the five elements, such as acupuncture, acupressure, and other traditions. But throughout time on this planet, five elements have been used for survival of our human species. And each aspect of this evolution caused these various tribes of the planet to survive with these methods. And they were applied holistically to all levels of being, physical, mental, emotional, and of course spiritual. Then out of this, Buddha Shakyamuni developed what he called the five Buddha family, five Dhyana Buddha. And with this development called Tantra, the five elements moved into a psychic energy field of awareness that was not apparent to most human beings. And that aspect of awareness is we call the natural mind. And in these practices of the five Dhyana Buddha families, we call Mahamudra in our tradition. And it's also called mind of bliss, or the great perfection, or the middle way. But no matter what it's called, it's always about less and less drama, or no drama, or less and less judgment. Now, since we're speaking along these lines, of course, we're talking about the emotional aspect of our being, which causes us so much trouble, problem. And this judgment pervades all aspects of our social intercourse, how we interrelate to everybody. And since we know that we are all interrelating this way, that's where the term interconnectedness comes in as the basis of all these practices. So when we say judgment, that starts the emotional program rolling. And when you judge something that's good, that can be somebody else's bad. And we don't know that. We believe just because we call it good is good. Okay? And then we have the judgment call some certain things that we are sensing or thinking about as bad or evil. Well, again, that could be somebody else's good. And then we have another judgment call where we say things are superior or supernatural or high. That judgment creates arrogance. And whenever we have the judgment call that things are lowly or inferior, we apply them to self, others, or objects, then jealousy and envy arises, fear and anxiety and depression. Well, all of these are the emotional drama field. And it all starts with these judgments. And it's a habit. And how do you overcome this habit is mind training, retrain the mind, which we started with the three lights. Actually, we started with just being calm, watching our own breath. Then the introduction of the three lights is a technique to bring the body, speech, and mind into a central area, into one place. And we picked the heart chakra because that's where all the goodness seems to evolve. And when we say goodness, I'm talking about healing. Healing the physical, mental, and emotional, and even spiritual causes of suffering. Not just the symptom. Because symptomatic medicine, which is what all the medicines of the world are about, and all the other traditions are about, it can cause one to be healed, but not permanently. Because the original tendencies have not been dealt with, so the cause of these tendencies arise again to cause dis-ease. In the Tibetan tradition, the mind training starts with the sutra and the tantric training process, so that more and more heartfelt response based on devotion, the honor and respect. To start with the teacher that's giving us the transmission, and in most cases on an independent basis, which means each of us are a little different in some ways, so the healing methods are presented in a little different way with the close connection to the teacher. So we want to use the 5-element practice to evolve into the 5 Dhyana Buddhas. Now, each of these 5 Dhyana Buddhas is the way that the Buddhist teachings have evolved, so that the thousands and thousands of categories of emotional discomfort are dealt with on a holistic basis. So in each category, we're dealing with the 5 judgments. Judging things good, judging bad, judging high, judging low, or evading, which means doing nothing.
Would that be ignorance?
Yeah, we call it ignorance, which the human race greatly suffers from today. On all levels. It's a top-down situation, actually, because of all of our social structures. And it's all pervasive because we're all interconnected on this planet. And so this habit, we start with by imagining, as I said, all beings as our mothers, everything interconnected. And we take it one step farther to show the drama mind present in each one of us, which starts with our sensual perceptions in the head and causes all the functions to occur. To show the drama mind that there's a way out, that there's another way of being. And it's innate. It's not outside of us. You can't find it outside. Okay? Yes, here's a teacher. It appears to be outside, but you're manufacturing the teacher out of your own evolving positive tendencies. Thank you very much. But this other mind is clear. And so the transition starts with the idea that everything is in light form, energy. And that this energy is workable. And it functions on the basis of life support, but yes, outside of this, it's a shared energy field, just like using the web, the internet. And all of that is structured to show our interconnectedness. And it wasn't really designed to be a judgmental programming tool. But we humans have this habit, so we program it that way. But the other nature of the mind is free of judgment and free of the emotional conflict caused by all this judgment. And you want to transition from that habitual methods or tendency to the other one. And they're all in the same place. They're all in the mind. To start with, we actually say two minds, the head mind and the heart mind. And the Sufis do that, and other traditions do that. But in Tibetan Buddhism, it's the only way to get clear on a causal basis. So we're not just dealing with it symptomatically by what symptoms arise. We're going to the cause. And so these 5 dhyana Buddhas are the antidote. And they arise with the emotions. So now we're taking the emotional energy program and using it as a healing tool. And it starts in the heart process. And it's called very simply loving kindness. Oh. And that's the antidote for all the affliction, top down. And I'm talking about the heads of government, the heads of religions, and I'm talking about the heads of military and, corporations and family structure, everything. Involvement with the natural world. Because that's the way that the animals and humans evolve, is from loving kindness of the mother bringing them into this world and then taking care of them and then on and on. But another factor is the concern for the well-beings of others based on this loving kindness. And that's where the 5 elements shows our interconnectedness to the elemental nature. And the way we define the elemental nature is the mother principle. So yeah, we have these 5 elements, but why do you call them the mother principle? Because everything created it out of these 5. Your mother created you out of 5 elements. That's it. And that's how everything is structured. But more important, everything is made of light, so it's all illusory. So now we're going to start the illusory practice using loving kindness and compassion, concern for the well-being of others, as a deity. And the deity most used in the basis of all the 100 deity practices of the 5 dhyana Buddha family, which are the antidotes, is Chenrezig. And Chenrezig in India was called the Balakeshwari, and he was used prolifically. And it was an antidote to the distortion of the Buddha's teaching by human beings in that area of the world, India. And then it evolved to Tibet and now to us. So we're going to do the Chenrezig practice tonight, but we have a special purpose. When we do the deity yoga, that's to show the illusory nature to our mind, as all sentient beings are that nature, and that is the nature of the universe, but as a symbol of loving kindness and compassion, but with knowledge and insight connected. And the knowledge and insight that we're using is coming from the natural mind, which is the state of Chenrezig, which evolves from the cause of erasing, in a temporal situation, judgmental negative quality. So, one thing more. when you do Dita Yoga, it isn't just for this life, it's for the aging and leaving this life and moving into the next life process, which all of us endure. And when we do that, since we are using space as a metaphor for this natural mind, this existing element, but also its spiritual quality, we want that to be where we appear in the next life to begin with, because in that situation you have infinite potential, infinite possibility. And with this mindful, heartfelt development of loving kindness and compassion, all of those potential possibilities will be used with that basis. That's Chenrezig. And we designed as a human being in the Tibetan tradition the method of leaving the body and moving into that situation, which is also called the heart of the Buddha. But what it means is you appear in the next life without drama, without emotion. So we'll start now. That's called Powa. So we're going to do one round of the Chenrezig meditation, and then we're going to practice consciousness transference and how I was taught in the 40-month retreat and how we practice it in retreats here in Hawaii. Sit with your back straight, hands on your knees or in your lap, mouth closed to start with, head slightly tilted forward, eyes soft, half closed. Keep the gaze to the space in front. Breathe, 3 lights breathing. Then with the inhale of the white light to the lungs, hear the sound Om, the sound of clarity. With the red light energy pervading the body, hear the sound Om, which is the sound of the energy, all the elemental energy. The exit of air out the nose, blue light to space, hear the sound Hum, which is the sound of all healing remedy, symptomatic and causal. Then bring the 3 lights and the 3 sounds, taking your focus off breath into your heart center, into the tigri, bindu, they call it the focal point or metaphor for the boundless energy of light throughout the fabric of boundless space. So you contemplate this basis of all the practices. Energy is light and space. Then from basic space, you again invent the particle to reference that by expanding it into our three-dimensional situation with a small, clear light sphere of light in your heart center. Blazing like a million suns. Then you expand that small clear light sphere into a five-color sphere about the size of a small grape or marble. Inside, you visualize the sound Shri, H-R-I, but in Sanskrit, Shri in red, surrounded by the five-colored sphere. Then all that blazing light energy you send to your root lama in front, representing all the lamas of all the lineages of Tibetan Buddhism, and all of their symbols, the deities and protectors. In vast numbers around you in space. They accept the light offering, this support, and to send it from their hearts like lasers into your tree in your heart center. The tree and the five-colored sphere become the heart energy program of the Chenrezig. So now you become the four-arm Chenrezig. Right hand raised, holding the symbol of the lotus as compassion, and the left hand the symbol of the energy of the compassion and loving kindness in the tantric tradition. You're a mala, holding a mala. Then two hands together in front in devotion, male image, smiling, young, healthy, blazing with light, five-colored, symbolizing silks, symbolizing five elements, six kinds of jewels, six disciplines of the Bodhisattva, and the five-jewel crown connecting to all five Dhyana Buddha families as healing. Then you project this illusory image, this symbol of the Bodhisattva, to the mother who created you. And you visualize life-size in front, facing you. Mirror-like image of you as this deity, Chenrezig. Then you intentionally, to all your relatives, starting with father, friend, everybody you have karma with this life. Then extend it to all the billions of humans on this planet. Then all the animals, infinite in number, in the ocean and on the land, become Chenrezig. So you're changing the illusory nature of how you think about the beings in the world around you as a mandala. And then you expand it in size to completely project it to every spirit in the universe. And they inhabit the entire universe and every aspect of it, everything that appears. So in your mind, you created a mandala of the deity, of all beings as the deity, illusory in nature. And that causes the heart mantra to appear which is sounded with your voice. So that this patterning that you're applying to your mind now affects your speech. And the 6-syllable mantra of this mandala is Om Mani Padme Hum in Indian Sanskrit, and Om Mani Padme Hum in Tibetan Sanskrit. These 6 syllables surround the Shri inside the 5-colored sphere in your heart center. And they emphasize the bringing together of loving kindness and compassion with power and insight. Sound the mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Free. So 3 things are working together with your body, speech, and mind. The body and the mandala of the deity is the body of the practice. The mantra is the speech of the practice, which is about compassion. And the Shri is the insight into the true nature that a complete absence of judgment and emotional conflict is the power. So the deity represents the compassion, power, and insight of your natural mind. And with this practice, you can easily shift to that dimension of being. The Shri is visualized. The mantra, 6 syllables facing outward, circle the Shri, counterclockwise, clockwise, and they move when you sound the mantra. And they swirl energy through your body, changing the internal patterning into its illusory nature. And then your projection is a mandala, all sentient beings doing exactly what you're doing, makes everything equal, effective. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Free. So when you sound the free, you're sounding the dimension of the discerning awareness of your own mind that the unfavorable condition is easily transformed into the favorable condition of your natural, clear, open state of awareness. And that is the Buddha field of Amitabha. Now, Amitabha simply means infinite light. And is the Mitaba, the energy of infinite light, which has infinite possibilities, which creates everything that appears, everything you can see with your eyes, everything you can imagine with your mental consciousness. So all of that becomes where you want to be, where you go, in a body or not. So having said this, we're going to use this deity yoga for Powa, consciousness transference at the moment of death. And it's useful for people that are very close to death, or animals, but it's also very important for practitioners of Tibetan Buddhist, Tantra, and Sutra practice, because we're all going to do that. So impermanence is a main factor in practice. The free, the energy of this infinite potential of light, whether it be elemental or spiritual in form and practice, is the causal remedy. And so you take that vibratory sound and imagine a red tree to appear in front of each eye. And in that way block those orifices. Then visualize a red tree to appear outside each ear or in the ear channel. Then two more trees from the heart go to the two nostrils. Then a tree blocking the orifice of the mouth. Then trees to the three or two lower orifices. With these orifices blocked, then you bring your life force energy to the Shri in your heart center and condense that to a tiny sphere marked with the red Shri, right in the center of your heart center. Then you sound the Shri, and when you do that, you visualize this energy, your life force, moving up through the central channel and out the top of your head towards the back of your head at the soft spot. It's actually 8 finger lengths back from those of you who have hairline from the forehead. So if you took both hands and laid them on top of your head, your index finger should be resting at that point. When you exit out the top of your head, you see this go into the heart center of the Buddha of infinite light, Amitabha, and merge with the Shri in his heart center. At that point, you relax for a moment and contemplate space, the infinite light of space, which is the basis of all these practices and the finish of the practice. Then you return that energy back down, entering down through the head, throat, through the heart chakra, and feel it firmly settled into your heart center. And hold that thought, hold that visualization. Then again, eject, say Shri, see it into the symbol of boundless light, Buddha Amitabha, merge. Then say Ah, and have the energy return back down into your heart center. That's twice. We're going to do this 7 times.
Is it always red?
Yes, keep it red.
Okay.
Remember the Om Ah Hum. Okay? The energy of light is warmth also. The warmth of loving kindness and compassion. Life support. 3, up into the Buddha's heart center, representing infinite potential. Ah, back down into your heart center securely. Again, 3, ah. You can do what I'm doing, pointing with the finger. I'm going to stop doing that. Number 4. 3. Get a good hit on boundless light in space. And bring it back down. Bring all that energy into your heart center. Infinite potential heart energy developing. Number 5. 3. Number 6. 3. 7. Breathe. Ah. Then the Buddha of boundless light joins the free in your heart center, disappears into the free, so that the infinite capacity and potential of the boundless light of space, which is the energy of the universe, is in your heart. Then return the orifice blocking free, starting with the lower orifices, those 3, 2 for men, 3 for women. Return. Then the mouth, and the nose, and the 2 from the ears, the 2 from the eyes. Then finish the practice with the accomplishment stage of tantric practice, which is to bring all sentient beings throughout space, all the spirits, as Chenrezig, all the animals in the entire universe, on any and every planet, as Chenrezig, all the humans taking birth on planets throughout the universe, Chenrezig, all of them interconnected to you, stream into you all at once. And there you are, this Bodhisattva symbol in the clear light space of your own mind. Then that disappears, that symbol disappears into the 6 syllables of the mantra in your heart center. Then that mantra, starting with the Om, then the Ma, then the Ni, then the Pe, then the Ni, then the Hum, one by one, dissolve into the free. The free in a 5-colored sphere of light, in stages or all at once, shrinks to the particle, joining the clear light of boundless space. No meditation. The mind training is complete. This is the death of drama. Relax. In joy, which means in bliss. Keep to the present moment, completely alert and aware. Then reappear as Chenrezig, 2-arm or 4-arm, your choice. 1,000-arm is a little much. Then post-meditationally, with practice, you learn to apply that to sentient beings in your drama world. And if possible, all sound is modified to the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. As you know, each and every sentient being is suffering 1,000 times more than you are. The Om in the mantra is the antidote for the causal effect of thinking things are supernatural or supreme or higher. And that removes, and actually removes or transforms, or in some cases blocks, arrogance, pride. In the celestial realms, it's called aggrandizement. And a few humans actually have that problem, so we have to know that. And if you could use the color code of that mantra, Om, as it applies to the celestial beings of the religions of the world, including Buddhism, use the color gold or yellow. The Ma is for the war and war god, demigod. And it's to transform the suffering caused by jealousy, envy, to the energy of the Bodhisattva, which is activating auspicious circumstances of loving kindness and compassion for others. We could say that could be each one of these It's especially useful for war and war gods. That energy pervades our planet in modern times. Then, for the human condition, we use the color code. Well, that color code is green for the mom. And for the color code for the humans, we use the blue color code, the color of the sky. And we bring all 5 antidotes, causal antidotes, into effect. Because we have the power to become mature as human beings. Buddha. That's our innate nature. Ni is white color for the animal world, to transform ignorance, stupidity, bewilderment, being dumb and stupid and all that, into clarity, wisdom, the motherly principle of loving kindness. Then pay, that's what sound pay. Then me is red color for the deprived spirit. And that's their suffering transformed to, we say, the wisdom of discerning awareness, discerning that it's not necessary. Not necessary to never get enough, never be fulfilled, never get satisfaction. And for the spirit world, dark blue, navy blue, or black color code in the sound home is to transform all anger, hatred, rage, abuse into the loving kindness of our minds, our natural mind, unconditional, no one left out. This is the compassion aspect of the altruistic motivation of everything we do in the Sutra and Tantra tradition. So these letters can be visualized coming from our heart centers with those color codes, individually or collectively. So if we have certain friends, relatives, enemies, drama mongers, politicians, priests, generals, etc. We can individually, collectively apply this mantra code. Om Mani Padme Hum. And the final result is what internally Powa. So this is internal Powa when we reach this accomplishment stage where we rest in voidness. And the outer Powa is the one we practice tonight using the 3 to the heart center of the symbol of the Buddha Amitabha. So these, nothing beyond this in practice. You can use this if you're able to accomplish the dream state, then you could bring this in practice into the dream state. If you accomplish the sleeping state of clear light to overcome the stage of ignorance, it can be useful. But if you can accomplish being the deity and do the Tumo practice, extremely beneficial. So each of these practices connected with the 5 Dhyana Buddhas, which are the crown of all deities, protectors. They all have a 5-jewel crown. So now we're going to do the practice of Manjushri, which brings understanding of not only the nature of the universe as simply light energy programs, we say patterns, applied to everybody and everything, but also how to use that individually and collectively for healing modality. so that the healing modality is more than just symptomatic, so that temporary happiness can be transformed into lasting happiness for each and every one of us. And that's Manjushri. Now his Shri is connected to the D, which I'm showing you the D. But the D is simply the light energy of the mind in intelligence. It's kind of like the Google of the web. So Shri is the ultimate aspect of compassion, discerning awareness, natural mind versus drama mind. And the D is what you're going to do with it in both dimensions of being. And this deity with this D looks like a U with a hook over it. Sometimes the ha is attached. Is the sound of light itself. Everything vibrates with an energy that you can hear, either mentally or causally or actually. And so this vibratory energy is very useful for taming the drama mind. The Manjushri appears with a sword, blazing sword with a Vajra handle raised in the sky to cut through this ignorance of judgment, so that you can understand your own state of pain and suffering. And then through that understanding, you can understand everybody else's animal, human, or spirit, because they're all based on that. Then the left hand holds the heart of compassion and loving kindness, which is a lotus, red lotus blooming by his left ears, with the heart sutra on it, which simply states, Prajnaparama's teaching, that voidness is mind and mind is voidness. And that applies to everything. Voidness simply means pattern, vibrations. Go on, take care.
I can't have the dog.
Huh? Oh.
Yeah. Christmas carolers.
Huh?
Christmas carolers are at our door.
Oh, no. We're celebrating Christmas
Far away.
our way. We had Christmas carols.
You must have been nice.
It's very auspicious. This is the solstice. Okay, so we're doing the Manjushri practice.
Thank you.
The seed syllable, like the Shri that we use for Chenrezig, is D. The mantra is Om Ara Pata Nadi Soha, which, like the Mani Pingmi Hum, surrounds the seed syllable inside a five-fold sphere of light. Then use this deity, all beings become Manjushri. That's the mandala of the deity. So we start with the three lights meditation because we're not using a text. Sutra tradition uses text. Tantra tradition uses body, speech, and mind as the energy of loving kindness and compassion, starting with the three lights and the three sounds, Om, Ah, and Hum. Om is the Buddha field of Vairopan, clarity. Ah is the energy power of the protectors, which we call power. And Hum is the compassion, loving kindness applied to all sentient beings. That's Tibetan shamanistic Lamaism. Breathe. Inhale white light, fill the heart, fill the lungs. Om. Pure Om. Middle breath. Energy through the body is red light. Ah. Exhale both together out. Feeling energy to all being. Om. Blue light filling space. And to get the feel of these three lights energies with the voice, visualize these three lights internally within your body. Apply the white light to the head with the sound Om. Red light to the throat chakra, Ah. Blue light to the heart chakra, Om. Om, Om, Om. Chant. Om, Om, Om. Om, Om, Om. Om, Om, Om. And send these three lights out to the root Lama and all the protectors and symbols of the five Dhyana Buddhas, all the peaceful deities, all Manjushri's family. And their three lights return to your three lights. Om, 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 Om. And they all merge into you. And your three lights, one after the other, the white Om moves down into the red Ah, into the blue Om. And the blue Om transforms into the seesaw with D inside a five-colored sphere. In the D, with the empowerment of the three jewels, three roots, lights, you become Manjushri. You manifest as their representative. Your symbol of compassion, power, and insight, training the mind. And you apply it to your mother in front. She becomes Manjushri, life-size, facing you. Then you apply it to all father, mother, relatives, friends, everybody who you have karma with. All debtors. So now you're adding in all the humans on the planet. Then all the animals. Then all the spirits filling the universe. So the mind of the deity is infinite Manjushris as infinite sentient beings, all doing the same thing, all equal, but all like a hologram. This causes the heart mantra to appear. Om, Ha, Ra, Ha, Sa, Na, Ti, So, Ha. Om Ara Sa Na Di So Ha. Om Ara Sa Na Di So Ha. Om Ara 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 Na Di So Ha. Om Aratam Namadi Soha. 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 Nadi Soham. Om Arapasa Nadi simply means all the clarity of your body, speech, and mind transformed into compassion, power, and insight, which causes all the other called favorable human qualities to arise as your activity to benefit limited sentient beings and bring them to maturity, and in this life help to alleviate their suffering. So this is the healing modality of, we say, intelligence and insight working together. And that is the purpose of this deity. Understanding the Dharma and its application is of ultimate importance. So this is the aid to that. In benefiting the sentient beings in the sixth realm, we shorten the mantra and visualize 6 swords laying flat with Vajra handles, and all the handles in a circle, and all the handles touching in the center of your heart. Each a blazing sword of flaming energy. And the upright sword standing this way in the center, its handle touching all 6, and its blade is marked with the D. The others are Ra, La, Sa, Na, D. Om, Ar, Ra, Pa, Sa, Na, D. So like that. Then those 6 swords take this insight, power, and compassion to the 6 realms of sentient beings, the 4 spirit worlds, and every planet where animals and humans exist. So you see that energy from your heart center blazing through you, from the key and the mantra, repatterning the internal program of your body. Then that healing energy blasts into space like the sun's energy to our solar system, or like a supernova. But in any case, you visualize that way, infinite sentient beings receiving while you say this mantra. Om Aranapati. So you emphasize the seed syllable on that sword. D, and that's pointed up to your head, so you understand what this is and how to use it. Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi. Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Patanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi, Om Arapatanadi. Om Arapatanadi, 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 Om Arapatanadi. Om Patanadi, 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 Nadi, Soha. Soha, all pervasive, timeless, always expanding, applied to every living being throughout the universe. Our Mother. And then we move to ultimate state of energy life as our natural mind, which is the sound D in the heart center. So this is expressing loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight available to all living beings everywhere. So you focus on the D, the state of perfect awareness, clarity, Mahamudra, great perfection, Dzogchen, mind of the middle way, however it sounds in words, expressed by your heart energy, D. As you sound the D, flash with blazing light, healing energy through your body as Manjushri, out to space. And every deity in your mandala doing the same thing, creating a supernova of light energy throughout our universe. Inhale. D, 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 G.
G.
Relaxing in the bliss of the clear light of your own mind. In timeless awareness. All thought patterns that arise transform. All physical sensations transform. Then at the end of this accomplishment stage of the practice of Manjushri, for post-meditational purposes, you can use this deity projected for living beings that you have karma with. All sound becomes the mantra so that you can understand and help them to understand your natural mind. When we say the dedication prayer, I'm going to read one and then we'll say the one on the refuge sheet. In this way, by this practice of these powerful and virtuous actions, and by the loving kindness of my parents to me, and the teachings of bodhicitta by my lamas, and my commitment to all my Vajra sisters and brothers, and the connection between myself and all men and women, and possessions and even those of beast and burden whose milk and yogurt I drink and flesh I eat, all of this without leaving one behind, may they quickly reach the sublime and perfect state of Buddhahood. Kewa di nirdi dam chagya chenpo dujirne jowa chintin malvi pa Kei sawa go partial Sanjay kusa nempai jema dam choni neighbor dempai jema dam Kender niche dupai jema ki Chita rumwa monram dupai shol. By this virtue of having realized Mahabhuja, may quickly establish all beings without exception in that state. By the blessing of the three bodies, excuse me, by the blessing of the three bodies of the Buddha being accomplished, by the blessing of the unchanging truth of the Dharma, and by the blessing of the unwavering aspirations of us, the Sangha, may this and all dedication prayers be fulfilled. May all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity, and may all their wishes be fulfilled. May all beings realize happiness. May all beings be without suffering. May all beings be established in bliss by our practice. And all of them reach a state of equanimity, abandoning judgment, attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, etc. Ruchi Che, thank you. Nice practice tonight.